Good morning, Akshay. How are you today?
Good morning, Bertha. It's been great, incredible day. Lots of stuff going around here right now. I'm in the Spartan Accelerator here at the University of Tampa.
I want to welcome you today to our Startup Chat show, where I take some time just to talk to entrepreneurs, CEOs, people who service the startup industry. And so I want to welcome you today because you yourself are a solo entrepreneur and you have started the journey from being an employee to now owning your own business. And so I know a little bit about your story, and I would like to see if we can dive deeper into your story today so that you can share with others who are either thinking about making that leap from employee to entrepreneur, or who are already in the same spot where you are. You mentioned that you're in an incubator program right now in the University of Tampa. And so I think that your story will touch people on this journey in different parts of this journey. So what I would like to start with today is I'd like to hear a little bit of your personal journey. And so I understand that you, by training, you're a mechanical engineer and was in that position for about 3+ years. And then when COVID hit, you decided to make that, not only that mental shift, but that physical shift from leaving your employment into starting your own startup. And so if you don't mind, do you mind talking to us a little bit about, from a mental or psychological standpoint, how did you make that jump? Because it's a big jump, it's not a decision that I'm sure you took lightly. So do you mind just sharing with us how you made that decision and what that journey looked like for you?
Thanks, Bertha. It's a very incredible journey so far that I have gone through. It all started during the peak of COVID when I started working from home, which gave me a lot of flexibility to work around my schedule and try and test various different ideas that would eventually help me, build, test, and validate various different business models that if this is viable, if my idea of cordless kitchen is viable in the in the startup space. And eventually I was surrounded by various different accelerators and in the startup ecosystem that helped me uh, you know analyze the problem and build a solution for it, and then figure out what's the market, and eventually figure out how you're going to approach your market. What are your various different channels? What are your what are your distribution strategies? What is your business model? What are the various what kind of team members you need? What kind of mindset you need to build an organization, and all of that. So it's been a great journey so far. And as I trained myself, train myself knowing what I'm getting into, I became more and more confident about the fact that entrepreneurship is more of a journey rather than you know uh, more of a journey which is taking calculated risks. I would say you're jumping off a cliff, but it's more like, oh, you're jumping off a cliff with a parachute. You know that if something goes wrong, I can pull it off and still land safe.
Yeah,
So
I love that. I love that calculated risk. Sometimes it doesn't feel, for at least from my, it doesn't seem calculated, but you're right, it really is. And so you said a couple of things that I like to flush out a little bit more. First, what you do. So you have a product, it's called, or you have a website, and it's called kitchenery.net. And
mhm.
it's KITCHENERY.net. And so what you explained to us, and I just want to make sure I understand it. So you have developed technology for consumers that will allow them to use what is previously used as a cordless appliance to make it, I'm sorry, to have a corded appliance and make it a cordless appliance. And so you, pre-entrepreneur, you were working on engineering different things in a different market. However, if I understand what you're saying, you've always had that entrepreneur mindset. And so you took your skill set, came up with an idea, and knowing that it's not something that you could do on your own, even though most startups start with a solo, you decided to join a accelerator program in University of Tampa, who have helped you open up to all of the calculated risks, if you will, that you need to take, not whether you want to, but these are all decisions that must be made, if I understand what you're saying, and that the accelerator has really helped you with giving you that support. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, that sounds very right. The accelerator has, it is more of a support system that you get in order to, boost, in order to boost, you know, d- boost. Oh no,
Yeah, it's
in in order to boost whatever incredible work you're doing. So it is, creating an organization is not about just just a product. It is, creating a venture is not just about a product. It has a lot of other different moving pieces that needs to be connected in order for it to be a viable venture. So, and in order to for it to be a highly scalable business model. And the accelerator has really helped me. the, the, they have speaker series, they have mentors, they have advisors, they have you know very skilled financial advisors, business advisors, marketing advisors, and
wow.
yeah, so all of that, it helps in uh, creating different aspects of a business model.
Gotcha. And so when you made the shift into the entrepreneurship, were these things that the accelerator is now helping you with, were these things that you were aware of before, or these are things that what you're saying is now that you're within the accelerator, that they are starting to highlight for you to, hey, Akshay, I want you to pay attention to this. Is that what you're saying, that essentially it's helping you develop or further cultivate an entrepreneur mindset?
Hmm. Yeah, that's very much right. When I came here, I was all about product. I had an idea and I had a product, but it is, I could say, figuring out where something like this is identifying, uh, you know, okay, I could say, determining what are the various steps that one could take in order to uh, you know satisfactorily uh, execute a venture. So whether if what is determining what is your unfair advantage that is going to differentiate yourself from your competitors, or this could really be anything. Do you have a very specific way you are going to approach your customers? Do you have a very specific customer segment that you're going to target? Do you have what's your core value proposition with your product, with your team, or um, with your venture? And determining all these various different factors is what creates creates a viable solution and a viable enterprise.
So
And
that you can roll out your product, is that that's what you're saying, right? So that you have the support to be able to scale what you have, which is a good idea. You have the idea, and so now how do you take that to market, and what does it require to get to
mhm,
market with that idea?
yeah.
So what would you say is the top three things, the top three tips that you have learned and that you want to pass on to other individuals in your position, jumping from solo entrepreneur to now someone who's working on scaling their business? What are three things that if you could do all over again, or if you want to say to them, hey, you need to pay attention to these three things, what would it be?
I think the one of the most important things that that I have kept on doing it is, I cannot stick with the idealistic mindset. I need to, you have to keep yourself open, to receive feedback from from your peers, from your colleagues, from your customers,
Mm,
from your stakeholders, and then act accordingly to that feedback. So you need to start dealing with people, um, in a way they want to be treated, and you need to accept. You need to be um,
is it you saying being open to constructive criticism?
yeah, being open to constructive criticism is one of the a major qualities that an entrepreneur can have, because uh, you know they- they- you cannot stop learning, and it's something that it's a lifelong process.
Right.
And that is one thing that I would highly recommend each and everyone
Okay.
to pursue.
Gotcha. And then I think you said the second one was actually taking the advice. Hearing it is one thing, but taking the advice, processing it, and acting according to the advice you're getting.
Hmm. Yeah. So a lot of entrepreneurs, they get thrown with a lot of advice, but it is still important to realize that, okay, we shouldn't be overwhelmed with everything that is thrown to us. And, it is still important uh, to be rational and figure out, what piece of a particular advice is useful to you, and try to process it. um, and by process it, I mean, just slow down a little bit, think about it, and then implement it in your day-to-day practices. And this is one thing that uh, everyone should practice in their regular life.
Right, because using myself as an example, so I'm by training I'm a lawyer, and so
Hmm.
I know how to practice law really well. But when I made the switch from being a lawyer working for a law firm to opening my own firm, I didn't have a clue on how to do that. And so I needed to surround myself by individuals who have been there and done that. And not to say that maybe my model is going to be a little bit different, but just to hear some of the tips and advice and the experience, which I think is valuable more than anything, is their experience, because they've gone through that journey and they can share some of the tips. And so I did that. I surrounded myself, and because I also had to make that switch from being a lawyer to now being a leader and being a manager of people, and in a business. And so that switch for me took a little bit, because I think it takes a different skill set. But I'm hearing that there's support, there are resources out there to help. Once you've made that mental switch, then it's just all about finding the right people and surrounding yourself with the right people so that you can make sound decisions that will help your company or your product or whatever it is you're rolling out scale, and the foundation is solid, and so that the risks, like you said, the calculated risks, you're ready for them. You're ready for
Hmm.
what's coming because you've already thought about, what can go wrong, and if so, how do I buffer any liability to my company based on what I think could possibly go wrong. So I understand, and I get that. And there was a point where I said to myself, I'm a lawyer. I should know this, but in reality, I had to the ego, that was going in my head,
Hmm.
and saying, yeah, you're a lawyer, but you don't know accounting. I don't know
Yeah.
marketing. I don't know creative and all those things. And so I think I agree with you that there's a benefit to having an accelerator. But I want to throw in that, for me who does employment law, making sure that you have the foundation for setting up your people as you start to scale. Because at some point, and you correct me if I'm wrong, at some point you cannot do everything that you're doing today. You're working in your business on a day-to-day, and that's only sustainable until some point as you start to scale. And so, what we like to do is to provide that foundation, that advice, and sort of, this is what you should think about. If you see yourself as 100-person employee, here's the handbooks you need. Here's the job descriptions that you need, all of the foundational things that you as an engineer may not be aware of. And so, I concur with your advice in the sense that, be open to constructive criticism, but also, take it and see if it works for you, but be open to executing on what the advice they're giving.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, these kind the entrepreneur is usually it they starts it, the entrepreneurship journey really starts with working in your business, but it eventually it grows to working for your business.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of difference in both the aspects. And when you reach to a stage that you start working for your business, this is when you realize that, okay, now I have instead of creating resources, I'm managing resources. And that's when you can figure out that, oh, you are on the right path and you are growing. And you have started to generate revenue, you have started to create organizational culture, you have started to um, build relationships, you have started to um, obviously acquire customers, and you started to execute your business model. So
Right.
uh, that's and as entrepreneurs and as leaders, I think this is where everyone should focus their time and energy into, is working for your business rather than working in your business.
Got it. Yep. And those are wise words, I think, for anyone starting this journey, is that it's a process, and you will get to the point where you're no longer working in it, but more so on it. But by then you have the resources. You have created a foundation of resources so that it can scale, and people know where to look for these resources, and how to keep the organization growing and scaling. Well, go ahead.
Now, talking about the resources, I just wanted to say that in the startup ecosystem, there are literally a lot of resources that young entrepreneurs can lean on to. There are a bunch of accelerators, a bunch of incubators, co-working spaces in and around Tampa, Florida, and in Orlando. I'm pretty sure there are a few in Orlando as well. And make sure that you use those resources in order to uh, help you develop that entrepreneurial mindset that you need in order to execute a venture.
Yes, I agree. And I appreciate you sharing your journey and highlighting those resources, because I agree it's not an easy journey. It's not for the weak stomach type of individual. But congratulations on making that jump from employee to entrepreneur. I'm very excited to see how you develop, and perhaps in a few years we will be hearing about you, and how big this concept has become. I just want to share before we sign off. I want to share that you're also on social media. You have
Hmm.
an Instagram page, and it's wpt.kitchenery.
Hmm.
And so, we can start to see as start becoming more active. We can stay updated by either your website or your social media. But if anything, if they want to contact you, you have on your website a contact us, and that will reach you directly. Is that correct?
Yeah, that will reach me directly, and I'll be more than happy to interact with other entrepreneurs or people who want to make this switch, and try to help them to the best of my ability.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, Akshay. I really appreciate your time. And I look forward to meeting you in person one day, and hopefully connecting again and talk where you're at in your journey.
Of course, Bertha, thank you so much. It was a pleasure meeting you, and thank you for this opportunity to interact with you, as well as having me on this platform. So it's incredible, and it's great.
Thank you.
Thank you.